As you age, have you noticed a shift in what matters most? The priorities that once defined your life, such as maintaining a wide social circle, may no longer feel as essential. Here's a bold truth. You don't necessarily need friends after 70. This might sound surprising or even unsettling at first, but when you examine it closely, it becomes clear why embracing your independence and focusing on your own well-being can be one of the most empowering choices you make in your later years. In this exploration, we'll delve into 6 compelling reasons why friendships may not be as critical as they once were. We'll uncover how letting go of social pressures can enhance your mindset, personal freedom, and even your health. This isn't about retreating into loneliness. It's about living life on your own terms, free from the expectations and obligations that often accompany social ties. Stay with me until the end, as these insights might reshape how you view yourself in your later years, offering a path to greater fulfillment. Let's dive in. 1. You no longer need external validation. One of the most liberating reasons you don't need a large circle of friends after 70 is that you've moved beyond the phase of life where social validation defined your worth. Reflect on your younger years. Friendships were often about fitting in, proving yourself, or maintaining appearances. Whether it was impressing coworkers, staying active in social groups, or ensuring you were invited to gatherings, there was a subtle pressure to be seen, liked, or accepted. But now, in your later years, that pressure fades. You've built your life, created your legacy, and the opinions of others no longer carry the weight they once did. At this stage, you've lived long enough to understand that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external approval. You don't need a group of friends to affirm your value or status. You know who you are, and that's enough. The need to chase friendships for recognition or to keep up with others diminishes, freeing you to focus on what truly matters to you. Consider the story of Clara, a 72-year-old who spent decades nurturing a wide network of acquaintances. As a teacher, she was always surrounded by colleagues, parents, and community members. Her social life revolved around proving her competence and likability, but after retirement, many of those connections faded. At first, she felt compelled to maintain them, reaching out to old colleagues and attending reunions. Then she had a revelation. Why was she investing energy in relationships that were more about habit than genuine connection? Instead, Clara turned inward. She rediscovered her love for painting, started journaling, and stopped worrying about what others thought. For the first time, she felt truly free. No more forced conversations, no more striving to impress. She was living for herself, and it felt liberating. The key here is that when you stop seeking validation from others, you reclaim energy that was once spent on superficial friendships. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. Your worth is defined by you, not by the size of your social circle. If you've been holding on to friendships out of a sense of duty or fear of being left out, ask yourself, are these connections truly enriching my life? Letting go of that need for approval opens the door to a more authentic, self-directed existence. 2. Peace becomes more precious than socializing. As you grow older, a subtle but profound shift occurs. Peace becomes more valuable than the bustle of social interactions. In your younger years, being surrounded by people often felt like a necessity. The energy of gatherings, the hum of conversations, the sense of connection. It all seemed integral to a vibrant life. But as you enter your 70s, you may find that quiet moments of calm outweigh the appeal of constant socializing. This isn't about withdrawing from life. It's about prioritizing a deeper kind of fulfillment. Friendships, even the best ones, come with responsibilities. There are calls to return, invitations to accept, and unspoken expectations to stay in touch. While these obligations may have felt manageable in the past, they can start to feel draining as you age. The effort required to maintain certain relationships may outweigh the joy they bring, leaving you longing for simplicity and tranquility. Take Robert, a 75-year-old who once thrived on a packed social calendar. He hosted barbecues, attended community events, and kept up with a large group of friends. But over time, he noticed these interactions felt more exhausting than uplifting. Conversations often repeated old stories. Some friends focused on complaints, and group outings felt like obligations. One day, Robert decided to prioritize his peace. He politely declined invitations that didn't excite him and stopped feeling guilty for skipping social events. Instead, he spent his mornings walking in a nearby park, afternoons reading novels, and evenings enjoying quiet reflection. To his surprise, he didn't feel isolated. He felt rejuvenated. The solitude wasn't lonely. It was restorative. This shift reflects a powerful truth. After 70, you have the freedom to choose peace over pressure. You don't need to fill your days with activity or conversation to feel connected. Your own company becomes a source of comfort, and the quiet moments, free from drama or social fatigue, become treasures. If you've ever felt guilty for pulling back from social commitments, remind yourself that you're not retreating. You're embracing a life that prioritizes calm over chaos. Try setting boundaries like saying no to events that feel draining or scheduling quiet days for yourself. These choices can help you cultivate a sense of peace that's more fulfilling than any crowded gathering. 3. Fewer friendships mean fewer disappointments. One of the hard-earned lessons of life is that not every friend is truly there for you. Over the decades, you've likely experienced friendships that faded, people who drifted away when you needed them, or relationships that felt one-sided. By the time you reach 70, you realize that fewer friendships don't just mean fewer social obligations, they also mean fewer disappointments. Friendships, no matter how strong, come with expectations. To check in, to be available, to offer support. But when those expectations aren't mutual, the result is often frustration or hurt. You might call someone who doesn't call back, make plans only to have them canceled, or find yourself giving more than you receive. At this stage of life, do you really need that kind of emotional strain? The answer is no. Consider Ellen, a 77-year-old who had a wide circle of friends from her days as a volunteer coordinator. She prided herself on staying connected, organizing lunches and sending birthday cards. But over time, she noticed a pattern. Some friends rarely reciprocated her efforts. They'd forget to call, show up late, or only reach out when they needed something. At first, Ellen felt hurt, wondering why her efforts weren't valued. Then she had an epiphany. She didn't need to maintain relationships that left her feeling unappreciated. She began focusing on a few meaningful connections, her sister, a lifelong friend, and her grandchildren, and let the rest fade. The result? She felt lighter, free from the sting of unmet expectations. When you let go of the need for a large social circle, you also release the disappointments that come with unbalanced relationships. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out. It means choosing quality over quantity. Prioritize connections that are mutual, effortless, and joyful, whether with family, a close friend, or even yourself. If you've felt let down by friendships, reflect on which ones truly enrich your life. Letting go of those that don't can be a powerful act of self-care, reducing stress and creating space for more fulfilling experiences. 4. Your time becomes your most valuable asset. As you age, you gain a profound appreciation for the value of time. In your younger years, time may have felt abundant. There was always another day to spend with friends, another chance to nurture social ties. But after 70, your perspective shifts. You recognize that every hour, every moment is precious, and you become more intentional about how you spend it. This realization is one of the key reasons friendships may feel less necessary in your later years. Maintaining friendships requires time and effort, phone calls, visits, plans to coordinate. While some connections are worth the investment, many are simply habits carried over from the past, rooted in obligation rather than genuine enjoyment. At this stage, you have the right to ask, is this friendship enhancing my life, or is it just another task on my list? Take George, an 81-year-old who once had a bustling social life. He attended weekly dinners, joined group outings, and kept up with dozens of acquaintances. But as he aged, he found these commitments draining. Long conversations felt repetitive, and social events often left him tired rather than fulfilled. One evening, after a particularly uninspiring gathering, George decided to make a change. He stopped saying yes out of habit and began prioritizing activities that brought him joy. Gardening, listening to classical music, and writing letters to his children. He didn't feel lonely. In fact, he felt more content than ever because he was spending his time on what mattered to him. When you let go of unnecessary friendships, you gain something invaluable. Time. Time to pursue hobbies, to rest, to savor the simple pleasures of life. You don't owe your time to anyone. You've earned the right to use it in ways that bring you happiness. If you're questioning whether to maintain certain friendships, ask yourself, is this the best use of my time? Does this connection add joy? Or is it a habit I'm ready to release? By being selective, you create space for a life that feels rich and meaningful, tailored to your desires. 5. True companionship comes from within. One of the greatest myths about aging is that happiness requires a large circle of friends. But the truth is, the most enduring companionship you can cultivate is with yourself. By 70, you've spent decades growing, learning, and evolving. You know yourself better than anyone else. And with that self-awareness comes a powerful realization. You are enough. Society often teaches us to seek connection outside ourselves, to equate social activity with fulfillment and solitude with loneliness. But there's a profound difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Some of the most content people in their later years are those who embrace solitude as an opportunity for reflection, self-discovery, and peace. Consider Anna, a 74-year-old who once believed a busy social life was the key to happiness. She filled her days with coffee dates, book clubs, and group activities, fearing that slowing down would leave her isolated. But over time, she noticed these interactions often left her drained. She was adjusting her personality to fit conversations, rushing to meet others' expectations, and neglecting her own needs. One day, Anna decided to try something new. She began treating herself as her own best friend. She took solo walks, savored meals with a good book, and spent evenings reflecting on her life. To her surprise, she felt happier and more at peace than ever. Solitude wasn't empty, it was enriching. When you embrace your own company, you unlock a level of freedom that's hard to find in external relationships. You no longer need others to entertain or validate you. You become your own source of joy and wisdom. This self-companionship also enhances the relationships you do choose to maintain, attracting people who respect your independence and share your values. If you've worried that stepping back from friendships might leave you lonely, try spending intentional time with yourself. Rediscover a hobby, write your thoughts, or simply sit in quiet reflection. You may find that the best company you've ever had is already within you. 6. Letting go creates space for a more fulfilling life. Perhaps the most powerful reason you don't need a large circle of friends after 70 is that letting go of unnecessary relationships opens the door to a more fulfilling life. Many people cling to friendships out of habit, attending gatherings they don't enjoy, or maintaining connections simply because it's what they've always done. But what if you gave yourself permission to release those obligations? What if you focused on what truly brings you joy? Letting go isn't about isolating yourself. It's about creating space for what aligns with your values and desires. It's about recognizing that your happiness doesn't depend on the number of people around you, but on how authentically you're living. When you release the pressure to maintain friendships that feel like work, you free yourself to pursue what truly matters. Take Margaret, a 79-year-old who once felt obligated to stay socially active. She kept up with old colleagues and neighbors, even when the conversations felt stale or the effort felt one-sided. Deep down, she longed for quieter, more meaningful days. One day, she decided to let go. She stopped attending events out of duty and began focusing on what brought her joy. Volunteering at a local animal shelter, reading poetry, and spending time with her grandchildren. Far from feeling lonely, Margaret felt liberated. Her days were filled with purpose, and she was living on her own terms. When you let go of friendships that no longer serve you, you create room for the things that do. Whether it's a new hobby, time with loved ones, or simply the peace of a quiet morning. You stop worrying about who's in your life and start appreciating the beauty of the life you're building. If you've felt weighed down by social obligations, ask yourself, what would my life look like if I let go of what no longer feels right? The answer might lead you to a simpler, happier, more fulfilling existence. Final thoughts. As we conclude, take a moment to reflect on these 6 reasons. The idea that you don't need friends after 70 isn't about closing yourself off. It's about embracing freedom. It's about releasing unnecessary obligations, choosing peace over pressure, and crafting a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. You've seen how stepping back from friendships that no longer serve you can bring more joy, time, and contentment than you might have imagined. Which reason resonated with you most? Perhaps you've already begun to prioritize your own company, or maybe you're ready to let go of relationships that feel more like work than joy. Whatever your takeaway, know that you have the power to shape your later years into something truly meaningful. Share your thoughts below. What's one insight you gained and how will you apply it? Your perspective inspires others. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps create more content to inform and uplift. Here's to living your later years with freedom, peace, and joy. Until next time.